welcome back to the data science and machine learning course. Today we are going to try to understand the uh, reservoir data in a city in southern India known as Chennai using data science techniques available at hand. So moving back, this is a prerequisite of the data science introductory course and the IRIS classification to give you a brief understanding of what we are going to do ahead before this video. So I highly encourage you folks to get back to those videos in my playlist if you haven't done yet. Links are in the description box below. So getting back to the EDA notebook, which stands for Exploratory Data Analysis, an important procedure you follow in most data science and in machine learning projects. Let's get into the libraries which we are going to make good use of in this notebook. The first one is the NumPy for linear algebra and operations, Pandas for data processing and data file input and output operations. Matplotlib and Seaborn are for data analysis and visualization operations. Let's quickly hit Shift Enter and get this up and running. Moving on, we have two files. One is the Chennai reservoir level data and the reservoir rainfall data. Let's load them into two separate data frames known as data 1 and data 2. And the dot head operation describes the first 5 elements in your pandas data frame. So let us visualize it for both of them. So first one is data 1, right? You have the date record, the reservoir names and the reservoir levels in different reservoirs. You have Pondi, you have Cholavaram, you have Red Hills and Chembarakam. Okay. Similarly, you have the information. Totally, you have 5,647 entries from 0 to 5,646 indices. You have date as 5,647 non-null. Pondi, Cholavaram, Red Hills, and Chembakaram also have 5,647 non-null objects, which are float in this case. So what does this indicate? That you have the entire data frame does not contain any null or missing values, which is great for a start. Let us go ahead and repeat the same activity for data frame 2, which contains the rainfall data. You have the rainfall data and you have the corresponding information. As similar to the previous data frame, we have 5,647 non-null objects, which is great for a start. Let's get into the descriptive statistics of data 2. You have the count, unique count, you have the mean, the standard deviation, the minimum value, the 25th percentile, the 50th percentile, 75th percentile, and the maximum value. So as you can see from the analysis, there are very few values which are non-zero in respect to the rainfall levels in various reservoirs. And moving on to the correlation. So here we apply the Pearson's correlation technique, which we are going to explore in the future section. So in layman's terms, correlation denotes to computing pairwise correlation of columns excluding empty values, right? So we have pairwise correlation of rainfall. The reason you see 1 here is because you are doing a 1-to-1 correlation between the same objects. You have Pondi and Pondi, Cholavaram, Red Hills and Red Hills, and so on. Okay, but what matters is the correlation between these two unique columns. You have Cholavaram and Pondi, Red Hills and Pondi, Chembarakam and Pondi. Similarly, you have it for the rest, right? So visualizing a correlation in this numeric matrix format is very tedious and painful for any average data scientist. So this is not the right way to do it. Instead, we are going to plot a beautiful heat map which depicts the correlation between various variables. So using Seaborn heat map, we are going to define a figure size of 7 by 7, embed the correlation into the heat map. These are default arguments which specify your formatting of your Seaborn heat map, and we'll describe the heat map. So this looks much better with the color intensities denoting the amount of relationship between the two unique variables. So the highest you can identify here is 0.9 between Red Hills and Chembarakam. Okay, this is a symmetric matrix as you folks can see here. Okay, let's repeat the same for data 1. You have 5,647 rows and 5 columns. You have the same here. Okay, so moving on, let us do a bivariate analysis of the plot between two different reservoirs. You have the Red Hills and Pondi plot for data 1. data one is nothing but the reservoir levels in the two reservoirs. So they look almost the same, right? So what we are doing here is we are plotting the Pondy levels, Red Hills levels, and giving the annotations for the entire figure with a beautiful legend. Okay, so similarly, let's perform the analysis for Red Hills and Pondy scatter plot. So looking at the scatter plot, though it is pretty much used in most data science projects, it doesn't look pretty good in this case. Let's move ahead and check the columns. You have the date column, you have the Pondy column, Cholavaram, Red Hills, and Chembakaram, which denote the different reservoirs in Chennai. Right. So let's move the reservoir levels to the data frame DF1. So a better way to do it is to hit dot copy. Okay, this is a more better way to represent copying of data frames to new variables. Now that we are done with this, we can see the minimum value in the reservoirs level data. You have 0, dot min denotes 0. Min in the case, the minimum value in the particular series or column. In this case, it is Red Hills. All right. So let us see the last 5 values using tail for the column Red Hills under the condition that the value of Red Hills is minimum, which means it is 0 in this case, as we have observed here. Let's see the last 5 elements and how they appear. So given that you have Red Hills at 0 level, we have Pondy is 25, Cholavaram is 0, Red Hills is 0 as we have specified here in the filter condition, and Chembakaram is 1. So there doesn't point out to a relationship between all the various reservoirs having 0 level, as we can see here. Okay, let's go to the maximum value. So Pondy's maximum value is 3231. Now let us put in a filter to see how the reservoir level data applies when Pondy is set to max. When Pondy is set to max, it looks pretty beautiful. Like we have all the reservoirs at almost the max levels. We have apparently 97 rows which have the maximum level. So another inference can be drawn here is that Pondy maximum level is 3231, and the corresponding reservoirs also have reflected the near maximum level of water. Now that we are done with this, we will see a plot for Pondy using the histogram plot, using a 10 by 10 figure size. Okay. So as time moves from day 0 to day 3000 and half, you have the frequency of the numbers. So we have 150 days, no 150 days, you have 200 and plus days when the reservoir levels are 0, and around 100 days when the reservoir level is at max. In between, you have various fluctuations in the reservoir levels between 0 and 50. Similarly, let us repeat this activity putting a histogram plot for Red Hills. So you have 500 bins, you have the bins 500 indicates the amount of break between two variables. I mean the scale which you apply in your histogram plot. Similarly for Red Hills, here is what we can get. It looks pretty similar to that of Pondy in that we have the minima and maxima between 0 and at the end in 3000, and the rest of the values fluctuate between 0 and 40. Pretty similar to our other case. So let us plot these two side by side, Pondy and Red Hills. So it is clearly evident that Red Hills has a pretty higher reservoir levels with respect to Pondy. So this is of a simple bivariate analysis which performed upon the Chennai reservoir data. So I urge you folks to download this notebook and the corresponding data sets and run it in your local systems, and get back to me with doubts in the comment section below. For the notebooks and the data sets, you can refer the GitHub links that I'm providing in the description box below. So that's it for today's session. I hope it was very informative to you. Looking forward to seeing you in our future sessions. Thank you and have a great day.